Hey everybody, Bearded Rogue here, and I'm finally back from my business trip. I've arrived at home, and today's Vlogust is sort of tangentially related to Gen Con, and it's really about jobs in the industry. And one of the things on this business trip I've been made painfully aware of is IT is probably not for me long term. I've been in IT work now for a little over a decade, primarily with telecom companies. And I'm not going to get into specifics about what I do, but my primary benefit to organizations is taking complex technological things and then breaking them down and explaining them to people who aren't as technically savvy. So I've often joked that I can translate from engineer to project manager. That's kind of what I do. So I act as this go-between. I'm not as technical as the engineers. I don't have a college degree or anything like that in computers. I've just spent a lot of time around them. I've had one almost as long as I've been alive. Not quite, but like I remember having a computer in kindergarten, for example. My dad had an old Radio Shack laptop that had like a screen this big that was black and white, looked like a not even as big as a graphing calculator screen. But so I've been around computers pretty much my whole life. I've never been intimidated by them or scared of them, and I'm good at learning systems. Imagine that, someone who likes to learn the rules of games that are incredibly complex and have lots of moving parts is good at learning systems and then explaining them to other people, like teaching games. So that's something that I just kind of have as a strength. But one of the big things about IT versus the board game industry is IT generally pays a lot better, like a lot better, in most circumstances. I'm not a project manager. I don't have a lot of experience in that. Like, I've run projects, but I took a class on project management, for example, so I know what real project management looks like, and that's not me. Like, I've made sure that projects came to fruition, but I've not managed them like the PMBOK. If you're a project manager, you'll know what that is. Says you should. Like, I think about some of those things because I had a training course. I had a 2-week boot camp, but it's not, I'm not certified or anything, so I would never claim to be a project manager. And a lot of what's done in the board game industry on the publisher side is project management. It's taking disparate groups of people, printers and artists and designers and developers and the shipping companies and all of them, and getting them all into a timeline so that stuff arrives when it's supposed to, so that everybody gets paid when they're supposed to, so that the amount of hours that they said they'll work on a thing are the amount of hours that they both actually do and that they actually get paid to do. So a lot of that side of the industry is project management. And God bless them, because project managers kind of make the world happen. I have a very big respect for project managers, the same level of respect I have for technical people. So it's not something I've ever done. It's something that I might be interested in doing, but I've just kind of been examining jobs in the industry and looking at what I could do, because IT really isn't fulfilling me. It fulfills me monetarily, but personally it doesn't do it for me. I'm probably never going to be able to support myself on a designer's salary. Like, I'm not Eric Lang, I'm not Rob Davio. That's not to say that I couldn't make some money at it, but nobody gets into board games to make a lot of money, and there are very few full-time freelancers. A lot of people who do design work, who do development work, have other jobs. A lot of them do project management type work in a company. like I talked about. They're doing that on top of their design work. And, designs, while I'm very interested in signing my designs and getting my designs published and being reimbursed for my designs, I'm not unrealistic in that my designs are going to make me rich or somehow support my lifestyle. Um, so design is just one aspect of the hobby, as is the publishing side of things, as is the art side of things, which no consideration from my part given towards art. I am not at all artistically inclined. Illustration, graphic design, that sort of thing. I'm kind of like the anti that, unfortunately. So it's not something that I'm ever going to gain some great facility with. I can produce serviceable prototypes, and that's about it. Um, so, what else is in the industry? Content creators. Content creators are a big part of the industry now and are becoming more and more of a big part of the industry. But there's only so many of them that get paid. Most of them are making enough money to keep things running. They're not paying themselves a salary, they're not doing it full time. The ones that I can think of, the Dice Tower produced so many reviews at this point that it would be very difficult to try to keep up with them. Their quality is much better. I'm not a video editor, as these vlogs can attest to people. I don't have any experience with that. Not that I couldn't get it, but I currently don't. I'm decent on camera, I think. Those of you who watch these can let me know. I would assume more of you would have stopped watching if it was terrible. But I'm not scripted. I'm not, editing things. I'm not producing that kind of content. I have one fixed camera angle right now on my face. Like, the AV stuff is something I have no experience with. And I would be competing in a market that already has some big dogs, like the Dice Tower, for reviews. Or if I wanted to do playthrough videos like Rodney Smith, Watch It Played is already out there. Like, Watch It Played is like the gold standard of playthrough instructional videos as far as I'm concerned. So competing with Rodney, not that anybody's really competing, there's enough market space for multiple people to exist, but trying to compete in that same market space and for eyeballs is probably a wasted effort for me. There are other people, like Drakenstrike, who can offer a quality of product that could compete, and even he does more of the review style thing than Rodney does. I love Rodney's model. Not reviewing things and just giving instructional videos is a really cool area where he can diversify, or distinguish is the word I'm looking for, where he can distinguish himself from other content creators. I am part of a podcast. Podcasting is a thing, but I don't know of any podcasts right now that are really paying anyone's bills. Everybody who podcasts kind of does it on the side as as an extra thing, much like design. There's always people needed at conventions running that kind of stuff, shipping people, warehousing people, just the people who actually run the booths at conventions or run demos at conventions. But so much of this industry handles that via volunteer that I wouldn't even know where to begin for those kinds of things. Community manager is another option. A lot of companies in our industry are finding it very useful to have community managers. That makes a big difference for companies, to have somebody out there who's the face of the brand, who's responding to your Twitter feeds and making your announcements and handling that type of stuff so that the people who are running the day-to-day operations can focus on that. That might be something that I'd have some facility with. I'm certainly vocal enough. I'm not intimidated about speaking on camera or talking to people. I learn game systems really fast and am pretty good at explaining them to people. I would still, in that role, have a lot to learn. It's not something I've ever done before, and community managers all do their thing differently. So, who knows? But I've just kind of been examining jobs in the board game industry because it's really what I love. I love games. I love the people who make games. I love the people who publish games, produce games, design games, talk about games. Like, it really is the first time I've ever really had a primary hobby that kind of consumed my spare time, and did so in a way that really fulfilled me. Like, I've had other hobbies, obviously, but interacting with board gamers is like the greatest thing ever. Like, going to Gen Con and being around the people in this hobby, other designers and publishers, and working in booths and volunteering and all of that sort of stuff has been just phenomenal. I love all of you guys, especially the people who are watching this video. And I'd love to spend more time around you. I'd love to be able to do more of this and less of the stuff that I have to do to put food on my plate and take care of my family so that I can do this. If they could be one and the same, that would be the dream, living the dream. But I'm just kind of looking at what's in the hobby and trying to see where I could fit in, and I don't know. There's so many different options. I think no matter what I picked, I would have to learn something beyond what I currently know. My IT career has been built basically just on the back of hard work. I came into it with no skill set beyond a basic understanding of computers and the persistence to keep plugging away at it until it did what I wanted it to do, as well as an ability to grasp complex systems quickly so that I could kind of get up to speed. Most of what I do now is tier 2 troubleshooting. Like, they call me in as the firefighter when the blaze is really hot, and my job is to pinpoint the source of the fire, put it out, and then explain to everyone why we caught fire in the first place. There's a lot of written and verbal communication involved in that. There's a lot of reasoning, logic, critical thinking type skills. All of that kind of stuff exists in my current job. So I don't know how that translates into the board game industry. There's also another option is the friendly local game store side of things. Most of the friendly local game stores in this area have had all sorts of problems. They either weren't profitable and they're doing them just as a hobby and are running a side gig, or they decided they wanted to do something else with their life, even if they were profitable, or they basically have to sell magic cards or Warhammer miniatures or some other thing to supplement their income. I don't know much about either of those areas. Like, I'd be more than willing to sell them, but I'm not knowledgeable about them, so I'd have to learn. I'd also have to learn about running a business, that whole side of things. Working for someone else, most friendly local game stores are lucky if they have full-time employees in this area. Most of them are part-time. Most of them have like one or two that basically cover the whole week, if they aren't working themselves. So it's not, there's not a lot of room here for that kind of thing. And, I have to think about, benefits and other perks that come with full-time work, that pays well beyond just a salary. It's just something I'm toying with, is trying to figure out where I could fit into the board game industry, or when I could fit into the board game industry, how I could make that work. Because I think it would be more fulfilling for me personally than, punching a time clock and taking care of computers. But who knows? Anyway, that's just kind of my musings for today. Looking at my current occupation and what I could be doing more of, or what I might enjoy doing more of. And yeah, that's about it. Anyway, enough rambling for today. I gotta get this posted before midnight hits, and it's already pretty late. So, Bearded Rogue, signing out.